You think Gongyo has to be perfect? That's exactly what's stopping your benefit. The altar, the rhythm, the pronunciation, none of it matters as much as you've been told. In fact, chasing perfection might be the very thing blocking your transformation. What if everything you believed about how Gongyo should be done was wrong? So many people never begin or quietly quit because of this one fear: I'm not doing it right. They sit in front of the Gohanzan and wonder, did I skip a line? Did I say it wrong? Was that respectful enough? They feel watched by some invisible judge and judged by an invisible standard. But Nichiren Daishonin never demanded perfection. He demanded sincerity. In the snow, in exile, with no altar and no robe, he chanted with a cracked voice and unwavering vow. That's the real model. And if you've ever asked yourself, am I doing Gongyo wrong? Keep watching. Nichiren Daishonin didn't say your Gongyo had to be flawless. He didn't care if your voice cracked, if your rhythm wobbled, or if you forgot a word. What he said was, even a single phrase of the Lotus Sutra, if embraced with deep feeling, leads to Buddhahood. That means even if you chant slowly, even if you stumble, even if you feel unsure, if your heart is honest, the law responds. Gongyo is not a performance, it's not a concert, it's a vow spoken aloud. If your kids are yelling in the other room, if your breath is shaky, if your voice is barely above a whisper, that still counts. In fact, that is the model. Nichiren didn't wait for silence. He chanted in storms, in exile, in danger. That's the kind of sincerity we're talking about. This next doubt is incredibly common, and it keeps more people silent than you might think. They ask, I don't speak Japanese. Am I just reciting sounds? Shouldn't I understand every word for this to work? And slowly that question becomes shame. It becomes hesitation. It becomes silence. Some feel like frauds, like they're faking something sacred. They pause videos, chase translations, wait until they get it, and in the meantime, they stop chanting. But here's the truth. That's not how the mystic law works, and it's definitely not what Nichiren taught.
Myoho Renge Go, Myoho Renge Go, Myoho Renge Go, Myoho Renge Go.
Nichiren Daishonin didn't say you had to be fluent in classical Chinese or Japanese to access the law. He said, if one listens to even a single phrase and rejoices, he will attain the Buddha way. The life, not the intellect, recognizes the rhythm. The vow behind the sound reaches deeper than translation ever could. It's like this. A baby doesn't understand language, but it feels the warmth in a mother's voice. Your life, your Buddha nature, it hears Gongyo the same way. The mystic law isn't a dictionary. It's a mirror, a tuning fork, a current of life that responds to feeling, not translation. So stop waiting to understand enough before you start. Understanding will come just like sunlight after dawn, but first your voice must rise. Don't chant to know, chant to awaken. Another roadblock that stops people before they begin is the altar. They say, I don't have a proper butsudan, or I'm embarrassed, it's just a paper gohanzan taped to the wall. Some spend months collecting incense, candles, expensive bells, waiting for the perfect setup before they ever speak a single word of faith. But Gongyo is not a ceremony of objects, it's a ceremony of courage. Nichiren was exiled twice. Do you think he carried an altar into the snow? No, he chanted in caves and huts and prison cells and called those places the Buddha land. This beautiful wall art, exclusively available in our store, depicts the moment Nichiren chanted so fiercely, with fire in his heart, that he escaped death when they tried to decapitate him. Hang this powerful piece in your living room to honor Nichiren Daishonin. The store link is in the description, pinned comment, or click the label in the top right corner now. Nichiren wrote, the place where the practitioner of the Lotus Sutra chants Daimoku is the land of tranquil light. That means your altar isn't sacred because of its beauty. It becomes sacred because you sat down and spoke your vow. Even if your altar is a nightstand, even if your incense is your breath, even if your kids are shouting in the next room, your voice still reaches the mystic law. The Gohanzan does not demand gold, it demands your vow. Start with what you have, a towel, a printout, a whisper of courage. That's enough. Wear our fantastic Da Vinci design of the Lotus Sutra with Gongyo as soon as next week. Visit our store. The link is in the description, pinned comment, or click the tab in the top right corner now. Have you ever finished Gongyo and thought that felt empty? Or wondered, why didn't I feel anything? You hear people say, I felt energy, I cried, I had goosebumps. But what if you didn't? Does that mean your practice failed? This belief that if you don't feel something, it doesn't count is dangerous and incredibly common. We come from a world that rewards emotional highs, religious traditions that praise tears, social media that celebrates visible breakthrough. So when your Gongyo feels dry, uneventful, you start to think, maybe this isn't working for me. But nothing could be further from the truth. This practice holds deep emotional value for so many of us. If it's ever moved you too, tapping the join button below this video is a simple way to show your appreciation and become part of our community. Nichiren never said, chant until you feel something. He said, chant. He compared faith to polishing a mirror. You rub, and for a long time it still looks dull. But one day, without warning, it shines. Gongyo isn't about spiritual fireworks. It's not a mood ring. It's like brushing your teeth, ordinary, consistent, and essential. You don't chant to feel better. You chant to get stronger, even when it's dry, especially then. The mystic law doesn't rise with your emotions. It rises with your vow. So chant, even in silence, even in doubt. That's when the deepest roots grow. Let's talk about the clock, because somewhere along the way, many of us picked up a quiet fear. What if I missed the right time to chant? What if evening Gongyo doesn't count as much? Should I skip it if I can't do it all? Suddenly, the practice becomes a schedule, a scoreboard, a source of guilt. This isn't discipline, it's perfectionism disguised as devotion. And worst of all, it creates a dangerous thought. If I can't do it right, I won't do it at all. But Nichiren chanted in exile, in storms before execution. He never said only before 7 a.m. He said, even a single phrase spoken with faith shines with boundless merit. The best time to chant is when you can. The best way to chant is honestly. The only rule? Show up. If you can't do all of Gongyo, chant Daimoku. If you miss the morning, chant in the afternoon. If you feel weak, chant to become strong. The mystic law doesn't expire at sunrise. The Gohanzan doesn't log minutes. It responds to heartbeats, to breath, to effort. When Nichiren faced death, he didn't ask for a bell. He didn't ask for silence. He faced the east and chanted. That was enough, and it moved the universe. If even one of these misconceptions held you back, it's time to let it go. The altar, the timing, the feelings, the fear of doing it wrong, none of that defines your practice. What matters is this: did you show up today with sincerity? If yes, then you already won. Drop it in the comments. Let someone else know they're not alone, because this is a practice of courage, not perfection. And if you're ready to make your vow louder than your fear, subscribe. Your journey just got real. Now that you know perfection isn't required, there's one more question that trips up even long-time practitioners. Can I move while chanting? What if I fidget? What if I'm walking? Does that cancel the benefit?